Most Harley owners are making at least 3 of these mistakes right now. Not because they don't care about their machines, because nobody told them clearly, and the information that does reach them is buried in dealer service advisor conversations that have a financial interest in what they recommend. 10 specific mistakes. What each one actually does to your machine, what it actually costs to fix, and what you can do yourself before it becomes expensive. I'm Jimmy. Let's get into it. Mistake 1. The 3-fluid confusion. The most expensive mistake Harley owners make is treating the 3 fluid compartments as interchangeable. Twin cam and Milwaukee-Eights Harleys have 3 separate fluid systems: the engine, the primary chain case, and the transmission. They require 3 different fluids at 3 different service intervals. This is documented in your owner's manual. It is also the thing most riders absorb incorrectly because older Harley models used a common sump system where one fluid served multiple functions. The consequence of using engine oil in the transmission, which happens more often than any Harley mechanic will admit, is accelerated wear on the gear dogs, specifically second and third gear. The first sign is a grinding or notchy feel on the second to third shift. By the time that symptom is regular, the damage is already accumulated. The correct fluids: Harley Scion 3 or equivalent 20W50 synthetic in the engine, Harley Formula Plus or equivalent in the primary, Harley transmission fluid or equivalent 75 W140 gear oil in the transmission. The correct intervals as specified in the owner's manual: every 5,000 miles on synthetic oil for the engine, every 10,000 miles for the primary, every 10,000 miles for the transmission. Dealers who tell you 3,000 mile intervals on synthetic oil are selling service appointments that the owner's manual does not require. Full 3 fluid change at an independent shop, $150 to $250 depending on your market. Full 3 fluid change at a Harley dealer, $250 to $400. With the correct fluids from AutoZone or Cycle Gear in an afternoon in your garage, $60 to $80. The manual is in your glove box. The job is documented in detail across every Harley forum that exists. Mistake 2. Skipping the 500-mile break-in oil change. This one is documented in your owner's manual and almost never mentioned at the point of sale. The factory fill oil in a new Harley contains elevated levels of zinc and phosphorus additives specifically designed to help piston rings seat during the first 500 miles of operation. These additives also capture the microscopic metal particles that the break-in process generates. Leaving that contaminated oil in the engine past 500 miles means your engine is running on oil that contains the debris from its own break-in process. The service interval is 500 miles, not 1,000. The sticker your dealer puts on your windshield that says 1,000 miles is their service interval. Your owner's manual says 500 miles. Missing this interval does not automatically void your warranty. But if you have a warranty claim that traces to early engine wear, the absence of a documented 500-mile oil change is something Harley's warranty department will note. Document this service with a receipt, whether you do it yourself or have it done. Cost at a dealer: approximately $85 to $100. Cost done yourself with the correct oil and a new filter: $40 to $50. The correct oil at 500 miles is the same 20W50 synthetic you will use for all subsequent changes. Mistake 3. Cold revving. An air-cooled Harley V-twin at cold start has engine oil that is settled to the bottom of the sump overnight. The first seconds of operation distribute that oil throughout the engine. Metal components that have contracted slightly in cold temperatures are expanding back toward operating tolerances as heat builds. Revving a cold Harley aggressively, anything above 2,500 RPM in the first 2 to 3 minutes, creates friction between components that do not yet have full oil film coverage. The wear this produces is real and cumulative. Every cold start where you rev it hard adds wear that a properly warmed machine would not have experienced. The correct procedure: start the engine, verify the oil light extinguishes within 3 seconds, confirming oil pressure is established, then ride at gentle throttle for the first 2 miles. The engine warms faster under light load than at extended idle. You are not helping the machine by sitting in the driveway, revving it to 3,000 RPM for 5 minutes. You are wearing it. The other side of this is hot shutdown. After sustained hard riding, extended highway miles, back-to-back steep climbs, the engine oil has absorbed significant heat. Shutting down immediately traps that heat in the oil without the cooling that continued circulation provides. If you have been running the machine hard, an idle period of 2 to 3 minutes before shutdown allows the oil to continue circulating and dissipating heat before the pump stops. Both of these habits cost nothing to implement. Both produce measurable differences in long-term engine wear. The 3-fluid change, the break-in service, the riding habits, these are the mistakes that determine how long your engine lasts. The 2026 Motorcycle Buyer's Bible has the complete DIY maintenance schedule in Section 7 with every Harley service interval listed alongside the dealer rate and the cost to do it yourself. The difference across a typical ownership period is documented in that section, and it is significant. Section 6 has the dealer scripts for when you are at the service counter and being upsold services your owner's manual does not require, link in the description, was $97. Now $9. Mistake 4, ignoring the belt tension check. The final drive belt on a Harley is not a lifetime component. It is a component with specific maintenance requirements that are documented in your service manual and that most owners have never performed. Belt tension should be checked every 2,500 miles. The specified deflection is approximately 3/8 to 1/2 inch of free play at the midpoint of the belt's lower run. You measure this with your fingers, press the belt at the midpoint, and measure the deflection. The tool required is your hand and a ruler. An over-tight belt creates excess load on the rear wheel bearing and transmission output shaft bearing. An under-tight belt creates slap and uneven wear. Either condition accelerates belt wear significantly beyond normal service life. Belt replacement interval is typically 50,000 to 100,000 miles depending on riding conditions. City riding with frequent stops is harder on a belt than steady highway miles. The replacement belt cost is approximately $150 to $250 for the part. Labor at an independent shop adds $100 to $150. This is a manageable scheduled cost at the correct interval. It becomes an unmanaged expense when the belt is ignored until it fails. A belt that fails at highway speed locks the rear wheel. This is a documented safety event with predictable consequences. The belt tension check is a 60-second task every 2,500 miles that costs nothing except the habit of doing it. Mistake 5, the cam chain tensioner neglect. Twin cam, specifically. Twin cam engines produced from 1999 through 2016 have a documented cam chain tensioner wear issue that every experienced Harley mechanic knows, and that is worth understanding if you own one. The cam chain tensioner shoes on twin cam engines are plastic components that wear over time. As they wear, they allow the cam chain to develop slack that affects valve timing. The early warning is a rattling or ticking noise at startup that fades as oil pressure builds. Many owners dismiss this as normal Harley character at cold start. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is the cam chain tensioner beginning to fail. Inspection is recommended at 25,000 miles for twin cam engines as a preventive measure. The inspection requires removing the cam cover, a job that experienced home mechanics do routinely. The tensioner shoes themselves cost approximately $30 to $60 for the parts. Labor at an independent shop for the inspection and replacement, if needed, runs $200 to $400 depending on your market. The man in the comment section of this channel who found his tensioner shoes at 60,000 miles in excellent condition because he had run AmSoil and changed it religiously at 5,000 miles is the outcome of correct maintenance. The outcome of ignoring this inspection until the rattling becomes constant is a more expensive repair. Milwaukee-Eights engines introduced in 2017 use a hydraulic cam chain tensioner system that self-adjusts and does not have the same failure mode as the twin cam. If you own a 2017 or later Milwaukee-Eights, this specific concern does not apply to your engine. Mistake 6. Stage 1 exhaust without an ECU tune. The aftermarket exhaust upgrade is the most popular modification Harley owners make. It is also the modification most likely to cause engine damage when done incompletely. The stock Milwaukee-Eights ECU is calibrated for the stock exhaust's specific back pressure and flow characteristics. When you install a free-flowing aftermarket exhaust, Vance and Hines, Screaming Eagle, Reinhardt, or any brand, the back pressure changes. The fuel delivery map that worked correctly with the stock exhaust is now running lean because the ECU has not been told that the air-fuel ratio parameters have changed. Running lean means higher combustion temperatures. Higher combustion temperatures over sustained periods cause heat damage to exhaust valves, piston crowns, and in severe cases, cylinder walls. The exhaust upgrade is not the problem. The exhaust upgrade without a corresponding ECU flash is the problem. An ECU flash from a reputable tuner, Fuel Moto, Dynojet Power Vision, or dealer tuning costs $350 to $500. This is not an optional add-on to an exhaust upgrade. It is the completion of the modification. An exhaust upgrade that is not accompanied by an ECU tune is an incomplete modification that introduces ongoing stress to your engine. Note: Stage 1 exhaust modifications that include aftermarket intake also require ECU tuning. The intake and exhaust changes together move the air-fuel ratio further from the stock calibration than exhaust alone. Both require tuning. Mistake 7. The compensator torque. Check Milwaukee-Eight. The compensator sprocket assembly on Milwaukee-Eight engines absorbs drivetrain shock loads during acceleration and engine braking. The central nut that secures the compensator assembly has a specified torque of 150 to 165 foot-pounds. Thermal cycling, the repeated heating and cooling of the engine across thousands of miles, can allow this nut to loosen over time. The symptom of a loosening compensator nut is a clicking or clunking noise from the primary area at idle, particularly noticeable when engaging and disengaging the clutch at low speed. This noise is sometimes described as the machine sounding like loose change in a dryer. It is sometimes dismissed as normal Harley character. It is not normal character. It is the compensator assembly beginning to lose its retention. Torque verification at 15,000-mile intervals requires removing the primary cover and using a torque wrench. This is a 2-hour job for an experienced mechanic. The torque wrench and the time to do the inspection yourself prevents the repair that results from ignoring it. If the compensator nut loosens to the point of the assembly beginning to fail, the internal spring pack begins deteriorating and the repair extends to replacing the entire compensator assembly, approximately $300 to $600 in parts plus labor at an independent shop. Dealership pricing for this repair is significantly higher. The exhaust tune, the compensator check, the cam tensioner inspection, every one of these has a specific cost range depending on whether you have it done at a dealer, an independent shop, or whether you learn to do it yourself. Section 7 of the 2026 Motorcycle Buyer's Bible has the complete Milwaukee-Eight and twin cam maintenance cost comparison, dealer rates versus independent shop rates versus DIY costs on every scheduled service, and most documented repair items. For a machine you paid $25,000 for, knowing what things actually cost before you authorize a service appointment is the most practical information available. Link in the description. Was $97, now $9. Mistake 8, premium fuel in a stock Harley. The Milwaukee-Eight engine has a compression ratio of 10.5 to 1. This compression ratio is specifically engineered to run on 87 octane regular fuel. The ECU programming does not have sufficient timing advance range to benefit from higher octane ratings in a stock engine configuration. Octane rating measures a fuel's resistance to pre-ignition detonation. Higher compression engines require higher octane to prevent detonation at high compression ratios. The Milwaukee-Eight's compression ratio does not require premium fuel because it was engineered within the operating parameters of regular fuel. Running 93 octane premium in a stock Milwaukee-Eight does not provide additional power. It does not provide additional protection. It provides additional cost. The only Harley configurations that require premium fuel are machines with aftermarket high compression pistons or aggressive ECU tunes that have specifically increased compression beyond the stock 10.5 to 1 specification. If you have not modified your compression ratio, you do not need premium fuel. Your owner's manual confirms this. At a typical 40 cents per gallon premium cost and an average of 1,000 to 1,500 gallons per year, running premium unnecessarily costs $400 to $600 annually. Over a 10-year ownership period, that is $4,000 to $6,000 spent on fuel grade that your engine cannot use. Mistake 9. Skipping the break-in period. The break-in period on a new Harley or a freshly rebuilt engine is the window during which critical components, piston rings, valve seats, bearing surfaces, conform precisely to each other under controlled load conditions. This conforming process requires that the components experience the full range of loads they will see in service, but at controlled intensities. The correct break-in protocol: vary your engine speed constantly during the first 500 miles. Do not hold a steady RPM for extended periods. Highway riding at a constant 65 miles per hour for 2 hours is the worst possible break-in riding because it holds the piston rings at one position relative to the cylinder wall without the variation that allows them to seat evenly across the full bore. Vary between 2,000 and 4,500 RPM. Accelerate moderately. Decelerate using engine braking. Let the machine experience the range of loads it will encounter in normal service. Do not lug the engine below 1,800 RPM under load during break-in. Do not exceed 4,500 RPM until after the 500-mile oil change. After the 500-mile oil change, the first stage of break-in is complete. Gradually expand your operating range over the next 500 miles before using the full RPM range. A machine that has been broken in correctly will produce better compression uniformity, better oil consumption characteristics, and longer overall engine life than the same machine run hard from the first mile. Mistake 10, winter storage without fuel stabilizer, done correctly. Ethanol blended fuel, which is the majority of pump fuel available in the United States, absorbs moisture from the atmosphere over time. Fuel left in a motorcycle's tank and fuel system for 3 or more months without stabilizer treatment undergoes phase separation, where the ethanol and water separate from the gasoline. The ethanol and water mixture settles to the bottom of the tank and the fuel system, where it corrodes aluminum and brass components and clogs fuel injector orifices. The correct storage procedure is not complicated, but it is specific. First, add marine-grade fuel stabilizer, not automotive fuel stabilizer, marine grade, to a full tank of fresh fuel before the last ride of the season. Marine grade stabilizers are formulated for longer storage periods and for ethanol blended fuels specifically. Second, run the engine for at least 10 minutes after adding the stabilizer so that treated fuel reaches the fuel injectors, the fuel rail, and the fuel return line. Third, if possible, drain the float bowl on carbureted models, or run the fuel pump through several cycles to ensure treated fuel is in every part of the fuel delivery system. The alternative, and the approach that experienced Harley riders in cold climates increasingly use, is ethanol-free fuel for the last tank before storage. Ethanol-free fuel is available at most marine fuel docks and at stations listed on puregas.org. Ethanol-free fuel stored with standard stabilizer does not undergo phase separation. Fuel injectors for the Milwaukee-Eights are approximately $150 to $200 each. The Milwaukee-Eights touring engine uses 2 injectors. Replacing both because of storage damage costs $300 to $400 in parts, plus labor. The marine-grade fuel stabilizer costs $8 to $12 per bottle and treats 25 gallons. What all 10 have in common? Every mistake on this list is preventable. None of them require dealer intervention. None of them require expensive tools or specialized training. They require the owner's manual, the time to read it, and the habit of doing what it says when it says to do it. The Harley that the previous owner did not maintain correctly is the Harley that arrives at an independent mechanic shop with a bill that surprises everyone. The Harley that one rider put 88,000 miles on without major engine work, using AMSOIL, changing oil at 5,000 miles, never beating it, is the same machine. The machine is the same. The habits are different.